This right here is one of my favorite openers ever for a comic book story. It is by the legendary Will Eisner. It's a spirit story from January 21st, 1951. And the brilliant thing about this is that it's really 4 panels, but it looks like 5. So we start by looking at the door of the police station, and we're looking right out. There's somebody about to come in. It's raining really hard outside. The rain is coming in. You can see it from the bottom of the door. But the 2 windows are uniformly sized, and they look like they're the same size as the panels on the bottom. So it looks like we're setting a rhythm for the pace of this story. We know that it's taking this amount of time for this man to walk from that distance to the door, to open the door, to keep walking, and to finally go in and tell Commissioner Dolan, Commissioner Dolan, I've just killed a man. I immediately want to read the rest of this. That was done 73 years ago in 1951. 38 years ago, something similar was used in a now much more famous story called The Dark Knight Returns. In The Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller uses a 16-panel grid to keep the rhythm constant throughout the 4 issues of the very legendary story. In the sequence where we can see Bruce recounting his origin as Batman, we can see how Miller controls time simply by using the same size panels every time. Now we get to this page where it looks like 8 panels are actually one big image, because this image uses the windows to retain the rhythm of those particular panels. So it still looks like a 16-panel grid, but the first 8 panels are really just 1 panel. It's one moment that feels like 8 moments. It's suspended in time. Using windows as panels is a really cool idea, and it leads us to some really cool concepts and some really cool visuals, because windows and panels are pretty much the same size. But that doesn't really mean you should overdo it when the story or whatever you're doing doesn't really call for it. So for comics fans, the comic that is probably best known for using a grid, a 9-panel one at that, is Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' Watchmen. Now, in this particular sequence, you can see that there is a rhythm to every page. Every panel takes up a single moment, and they're pretty uniform. So we are retaining that particular beat, right? In this panel, we're seeing Night Owl and Rorschach right through Dan Dreiberg's window. Now, it would have been very easy for Dave Gibbons and Alan Moore to have been like, oh, this is clever. We'll just make this panel a window, much like Will Eisner used the doors as panels earlier. But it would have been out of place, because Watchmen was just all about telling a story in a very linear fashion to trick you when they actually don't tell the story in a linear fashion. But it's a very straightforward telling of the story in terms of what happens within each panel. So they're not being very fancy with a panel construction. They're being very fancy with the structure of the panels and how they put them together. It would have been very easy to make this panel a window, but it was more effective to just show us a panel through a window. How brilliant is this, by the way? Dan Dreiberg says, I feel very exposed. And he is, because we see him exactly as how somebody would see him from outside his apartment, through his window, talking to Rorschach. Let me know what you think when creators pull these types of tricks in comics. And let me know if you like it when I pick apart comics pages to see if I should be doing more of these. And let me know if you got any particular pages that you want me to talk about. Until next time, please click like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments.